The assassins of the Council. The Galactic Council's chamber was silent except for the low hum of atmospheric stabilizers. Across the vast hall, 1,000 alien delegates sat in tense silence, their many eyes, antennae, and sensory stalks fixed on the central dais where the Chancellor of the Council stood. Humanity, the Chancellor rasped, his mandibles clacking in frustration, is a threat to the natural order of the galaxy. Their expansion is reckless, their violence unbounded. Already, 3 border skirmishes have ended in unacceptable losses. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Everyone in that chamber knew what the Chancellor meant, but dared not say outright. Those skirmishes had cost the lives of millions. Council fleets shattered by a species barely a few centuries into the stars. The Chancellor raised a clawed hand, silencing the room. Conventional force has failed. Diplomacy has failed. The humans will not be cowed. There remains only one path. From the shadows of the far end of the chamber, they emerged. The Assassin Guild. 5 figures padded forward, each of them a nightmare made flesh in their own right. A reptilian stalker, cloaked in shimmering scales that bent light around its form. An insectoid killer, its limbs lined with chitin blades sharp enough to carve through steel. A shapeshifter, its face flickering between forms, as if reality itself struggled to contain it. The rest were just as deadly, veterans of silent wars across hundreds of worlds. Entire civilizations had fallen when these killers were unleashed. The Chancellor's voice lowered, resonant with finality. Go to Earth. Cut off the head of this human beast. Assassinate their leaders, destabilize their governments, and sow fear. Without direction, humanity will collapse back into chaos. Do this, and the galaxy will be safe. The assassins bowed, their forms dissolving into shadows, and vanished. The decision was made. Humanity's end would not come with fleets or fire, but with blades in the dark. The first strike. Earth. Blue, green, and deceptively peaceful. The first team descended into the atmosphere, cloaked in stealth pods, landing just outside Washington, D.C. The city lay before them like an unsuspecting feast. They moved quickly, scaled walls, bypassed electronic defenses, and entered the underground tunnels that led to the presidential bunker. The reptilian assassin tasted the air, its forked tongue flickering. Pathetic prey, it hissed. No thermal decoys. No resistance. This will be swift. They reached the bunker's entrance and began their silent breach. The insectoid pressed its chitinous limbs into the steel door, slicing it apart like paper. The shapeshifter slithered through, assuming a human soldier's form to blend seamlessly with the guards inside. Within seconds, the bunker's defenses were neutralized. The assassins advanced deeper, anticipation thick in the air. They could already taste the kill. But then something changed. The corridors grew darker than they should have been. Emergency lights flickered not from malfunction, but as if timed. The air was heavy, filled with a subtle static that prickled against alien senses. The assassins froze. The reptilian sniffed again. Its tongue recoiled violently. Something's wrong. The prey is waiting. From the shadows, a whisper slid through the hall. Not in words the assassins understood, but in intent. A predator's growl, low and guttural. Then the lights died. The silence breaks. Gunfire erupted. Not the panicked, inaccurate spray of prey, but the precise, controlled bursts of killers. Silenced rail rifles cracked through the dark. The insectoid assassin screamed, once before its head was reduced to mist. The shapeshifter tried to flee, its body rippling through forms, but a blade, unseen, carved through its throat. The survivors panicked. They had faced armies and toppled empires, but this was different. They couldn't see the enemy. They couldn't sense them. Even their cloaking fields failed, disrupted by a frequency humming through the walls. Regroup, the reptilian snarled, its talons dripping alien blood. But it was too late. From the darkness, red eyes flared. Unnatural, glowing, predatory. The last assassin barely had time to register the sight before something massive slammed into it, armored and relentless. The crunch of bone echoed, followed by silence. When the lights returned, only bloodstains remained. Whispers in the council. The guild master of assassins bowed low before the council, his mandibles trembling. The first strike team has not returned. We received fragments of their final transmission. The chamber went deathly still as the recording played. Distorted static, panicked alien voices, and then a single, chilling line in a guttural human tone. You can't hunt us. But you forgot. Humans have hunters too. The recording ended. A silence heavier than any warship filled the chamber. Even the chancellor hesitated. Perhaps it was an anomaly, he offered weakly. But every delegate knew better. For the first time in living memory, the assassin guild had failed. Not just failed, they had been hunted. And somewhere, deep in the shadows of Earth, something stirred. The council had sent assassins. They did not yet know that humanity would send the nightmares. Enter the nightmares. The assassin's blood was still wet on Captain Elias Ward's gauntlet when he slipped the knife back into its sheath. His breathing was steady, calm, measured. Around him, the rest of his squad moved like shadows through the bunker's corridors, sweeping corners with quiet precision. The mission was complete. Another alien strike team, gone without a trace. Ward tapped his comms. Site secured. Extraction in 5. A simple statement, but one heavy with implications. He and his men had once again proven why they were called the Nightmares. The birth of fear. Elias Ward wasn't supposed to exist. None of them were. The Nightmare Corps had been born in the silence of classified black sites, far from civilian oversight. While the world governments bickered about policy and treaties, a coalition of military minds and survivalists planned for inevitability. That sooner or later, humanity would face a galaxy that did not want them to rise. The Nightmares were their answer. Volunteers were rare. Few were willing to undergo the gene hacking, the neural rewiring, the bone reinforcement surgeries. Even fewer survived. Elias had, but at a cost. He was taller now, stronger, faster, but also colder. His nervous system processed information like a machine. His fear response was rewired, not erased, but sharpened into something weaponized. Where most soldiers felt dread in the dark, Elias felt clarity. So when the Assassin Guild descended onto Earth, it wasn't panic that greeted them. It was a test, one the Nightmares had been preparing for. The hunt in the rainforest. Days after the Washington incident, reports of alien assassins surfaced again, this time in South America. A convoy carrying a Brazilian defense minister had been ambushed deep in the Amazon rainforest. Scouts went missing. Villagers reported demons with glowing eyes stalking the tree-line. Ward's squad was dispatched. The rainforest was thick with humidity, insects, and shadows. Perfect hunting ground for assassins. Perfect hunting ground for nightmares. Thermals up, Ward ordered, his voice a low growl in the comms. Through their visors, the dense foliage lit up with heat signatures. Some were birds, some were monkeys, and some were wrong. Shapes too still, too deliberate. 3 o'clock, whispered Corporal Hayes. 2 stalkers. Cloak. Ward raised a fist. His squad froze, melting into the forest floor. They moved with the patience of predators, slow and silent. The alien assassins, confident in their cloaks, didn't see the ambush until it was too late. The first stalker was impaled on a carbon fiber blade through its chest. The second had its head removed by a suppressed rail shot. Both died without a sound. The rest of the assassins panicked, breaking stealth, scattering into the jungle. That was their mistake. For hours, the rainforest echoed with faint screams, cut short by silence. The Nightmares hunted them one by one, dragging bodies into the undergrowth, leaving trails of alien blood on the leaves. When dawn broke, the convoy emerged from the trees unharmed. The assassins were gone, erased. Fear spreads. The Council's assassins had never known fear before. They were the hunters, not the hunted. But survivors began whispering among themselves of red-eyed shadows. They described humans who fought like wraiths, silent, merciless, always one step ahead. Some even swore the humans played with them, mimicking alien speech over radios, luring them into false retreats, stalking them for days before striking. The guild master received a report that chilled even his hardened mind. We are not hunting prey. We are prey. Philosophy of a nightmare. Later, back at base, Ward stood over the restrained body of a captured assassin. The creature hissed, struggling against its bonds, eyes glowing with hatred. Ward knelt, his glowing red visor inches from the alien's face. His voice was calm, almost conversational. "You want to know why you failed?" he asked. The assassin spat, its mandibles clacking. "Because you don't understand humans," Ward continued. "You think we're fragile, soft, that our laughter and our art make us weak. But that's the surface. Underneath, we are forged by fear." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "For millions of years, we were prey. Every shadow hid something that could kill us. Every night was a battle to survive. We learned to fear. But more importantly, we learned to use fear. To make tools, weapons, traps. To fight smarter. To kill what once hunted us." The alien shivered despite itself. Ward could see it, the crack in its resolve. "That's why you'll never win," Ward finished. "Because you've never been prey. You don't know what it's like. We do. And that's why we've become something worse than predators." He rose, giving a simple command. "Dispose of it." The alien scream echoed briefly before silence reclaimed the chamber. The council trembles. Back across the galaxy, the council gathered once more. The guildmaster's voice shook with disbelief as he delivered his latest report. "The humans, they have soldiers beyond soldiers. They're not armies. They are nightmares. Our assassins refuse further missions." Gasps and arguments broke out across the chamber. Some demanded escalation. Others urged retreat. But one truth was undeniable. The council had underestimated Earth. The chancellor slammed a clawed hand against the dais. "If assassins cannot kill them, then we must break them another way." Yet even as he spoke, the shadows in the chamber seemed thicker than usual. The counselors shifted uneasily, each imagining those glowing red eyes watching from the dark. The galaxy's most feared killers had met something worse. And the legend of humanity's nightmares was only just beginning. War in the shadows. The jungle campaign should have been the end of it. At least, that's what the Galactic Council believed. Surely, even humans could not withstand the full weight of the Assassin Guild's elite. Their telepaths, their drones, their acid-blooded infiltrators. The Guildmaster himself assured the Council that escalation would succeed where the first waves had failed. But assurances turned to silence. Silence turned to dread. The assassins did not return. The next wave. On the frozen moon of Eris 9, a squad of telepathic assassins crept through the ice canyons. Their mission was clear: eliminate a human research base before it could complete its defense grid. The telepaths extended their minds, probing for thoughts. Fear, confusion, panic. These were the echoes they expected from prey. Instead, they felt nothing. A void, a deliberate blankness. One of them faltered. "It is too quiet," he whispered into the hive link. "I cannot hear them." A shadow moved across the canyon ridge. Then another. Red eyes flickered in the mist. The telepath's hive link dissolved into screams as one by one, their minds were severed. The survivors barely glimpsed the attackers, humans in adaptive stealth armor, their thoughts shielded by neural dampeners, their movements inhumanly precise. The human research base remained untouched. The assassins were left hanging from the canyon walls, their blood staining the ice in crimson trails. Terror as a weapon. Back on Earth, Captain Elias Ward gathered his squad in the dimly lit operations chamber. A holomap displayed dozens of red points across the galaxy. Council assassinations planned against human targets. "They want a shadow war," Ward said, his voice even cold. "So we'll give them one. But not on their terms, on ours." His soldiers nodded. Each one of them was scarred, augmented, shaped by the same brutal training and surgeries he had endured. They didn't need rousing speeches. They needed orders. Ward gave them. Use fear. Break them before you kill them. Leave marks. Leave messages. Make every alien assassin who draws breath afraid to close their eyes at night. The nightmares moved without hesitation. The hunts. Across the galaxy, the assassins became the hunted. On a derelict mining station, an alien strike team searched for human engineers. Instead, they found corridors marked with strange glyphs written in alien blood. "We see you." One by one, they vanished into the vents, their screams echoing through empty halls. On a desert moon, cloaked drones scanned the sands for human signatures. Their sensors malfunctioned in waves, static rising. Then, a sharp crack, each drone dropping in perfect sequence, disabled by precision shots from rail rifles the assassins could never detect. On a council frigate, assassins awoke from cryosleep to find their weapons missing, their communications jammed. The only sound was a whisper over the intercom, "Run." None survived the night. The Guildmaster's reports became grim reading. Entire cells erased. Survivors broken, babbling of shadows and eyes. Assassins, once the Council's pride, were now refusing deployment. Ward's philosophy. In one of their raids, Ward captured a living assassin, a reptilian stalker with talons sharper than steel. It hissed in defiance as his squad restrained it, spitting curses in its native tongue. Ward studied the creature, then spoke with deliberate calm. "You think killing is your art, that you've perfected it, but you're wrong. Killing is not art, it's instinct. Fear is the art." He paced slowly around the restrained alien. "You strike from shadows. So do we. You poison, you deceive, you torment. We did all that long before we left our planet. Do you know what humanity did for fun for centuries? We told each other stories designed to make us afraid. We invented monsters to haunt our dreams." He leaned close, his visor glowing crimson. "You assassinate leaders. We assassinate hope. And hope, once dead, does not rise again." The alien turned away, trembling. For the first time, it understood what hunted it. The council fractures. The Galactic Council chamber was chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices shrill with fear. "They are dismantling the guild," screeched one avian counselor. "The humans are turning assassins into prey." "Then we send more," argued another. "Flood Earth with killers. And waste more lives?" A third snapped. "Do you not hear the reports? They stalk even our strongholds." The guild master finally spoke, his tone ragged. "My assassins whisper of them in their sleep. They call them the red-eyed phantoms. They are not men. They are nightmares given flesh." A silence fell. The Chancellor, his voice brittle, asked the question none wanted answered. "Then what are we to do?" No one replied. The legend grows. On colony worlds, whispers spread faster than light. Dock workers told stories of soldiers who appeared in places they shouldn't be, killing with surgical precision. Miners claimed to have seen red eyes in the dark tunnels before their overseers vanished. Even hardened mercenaries refused contracts against humans. The phrase grew, whispered from world to world until it became universal. The Council sent assassins. Humanity sent nightmares. Ward listened to the reports with the same calm he always had. To him, it wasn't legend, it was necessity. Fear was humanity's shield. Fear was their sword. And fear was only just beginning to spread. When nightmares hunt the stars, the Assassin Guild was broken. Where once they had inspired terror across the galaxy, now they cowered in the shadows, whispering of red-eyed humans who hunted without mercy. The Council had thrown their finest blades, their deadliest killers, at Earth, and watched them vanish into silence. But humanity wasn't finished. They had defended their world. Now, the nightmares would strike back. The offensive. Captain Elias Ward stood aboard the stealth cruiser Umbra, orbiting the edge of Council space. His visor reflected the glowing starfield, his voice steady as ever. "We are no longer waiting for them to come to us," he said to his squad. "From this point on, every assassin base, every Council safe house, every shadow they hide in, we burn it down. Let them feel hunted in their own homes." The squad did not cheer. Nightmares didn't need cheers. They only nodded, red eyes gleaming beneath their helmets. The Umbra vanished into slip space. Humanity's monsters were on the move. A galaxy turns cold. The raids began instantly. On a Council outpost hidden within an asteroid field, the assassins awoke to find their life support failing. As they scrambled for answers, shadows moved between the blinking lights. None escaped. On a pleasure world where assassins trained in disguise, civilians awoke to silence. The entire guild enclave had been erased overnight, their blood staining the marble streets. On a warship orbiting the council capital, the command crew watched in horror as cameras caught flickers of red eyes moving through the decks. Hours later, only corpses remained, posed in mockery of their assassins' rituals. Fear spread faster than light. No longer were the nightmares Earth's defenders. They were predators unleashed across the stars. The council breaks. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was a ruin of order. Delegates shrieked, threatened, begged. Some called for extermination fleets, others demanded peace. None had solutions. They strike everywhere, one shouted. Even here, on our capital, they stalk our halls. They are not an army, cried another. They are something else. You cannot fight shadows. The guild master stood silent, his carapace dulled. At last he rasped, I warned you. We sent assassins. But the humans sent nightmares. The infiltration. While the council bickered, Ward and his squad moved unseen through the capital itself. The Umbra had delivered them weeks earlier, cloaked and silent. For days they stalked through sewers, tunnels, abandoned corridors, memorizing routes, planting traps. Now, at the height of the council's panic, they struck. Guards vanished mid-patrol, dragged into vents. Entire security squads found their systems fried, their weapons jammed. Blood-red symbols appeared on chamber walls. We are watching. By the time the council realized, it was too late. The nightmares stood in their chamber. Confrontation. The doors blew inward with a thunderous crack. Smoke filled the grand chamber. From it, shadows emerged. 5 armored figures, their visors glowing like burning coals. Counselors shrieked and scattered. Guards raised weapons, only for the nightmares to disarm them in heartbeats. Silence fell as Elias Ward stepped forward. He stood at the center of the chamber, towering over the alien delegates, his voice calm, unshaken. You sent assassins to our world, Ward said. You thought humanity weak, that we would die quietly in the dark. He let the silence stretch, his gaze sweeping the terrified assembly. But we are not prey. We have never been prey. We learned from the dark, from fear, from every monster that ever hunted us. And we became worse. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a growl. You call us nightmares. Good, because nightmares do not die. Nightmares hunt. And if you come for us again, if you so much as whisper of Earth's destruction. Ward raised a gauntlet hand and snapped his fingers. At once, every display in the chamber lit up. Images of council assassins, strongholds across the galaxy, already burning. Live feeds of guild stations collapsing, ships gutted, leaders slain. Proof that the nightmares were already everywhere. We will come for you, for your homes, for your worlds, for your children, and you will learn what fear truly means. The resolution. The chamber was silent except for the crackle of burning displays. No counselor moved. No one dared speak. Finally, the chancellor bowed his head. Enough, he rasped. We yield. Humanity will not be touched again. Ward regarded him in silence, then gave a single nod. Wise. Without another word, the nightmares turned and vanished into the smoke, as if they had never been there at all. The legacy. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Not of human armies, not of fleets or weapons, but of red-eyed shadows that struck from the dark, who hunted killers and broke empires. Children whispered it to each other at night. Soldiers muttered it before battles. Even hardened assassins refused missions against Earth, haunted by the memory of their fallen brethren. The Council had sent assassins. Humanity had sent nightmares. And the galaxy would never forget it.